this was quite many years ago already. I can't even remember, maybe 16, 17. I had a feeling of me wanting to give back to the society, as for my family, we've gained support and aid during my childhood, and welfare state as a system that can support anybody. I really think at that time I thought, and I still think, that it's a system that should be defended and should be made even stronger. It's an innovation, really a social innovation. At the same time, I wanted to choose a political party that could combine the social political aspects, the social justice into the ecological sustainability. So to put climate change, tackling climate change and the loss of biodiversity into the heart of every political discussion and debate, and to do it at the socially just way. And now, as we're talking about the green transition, that is something that we need to do in order to get rid of the fossil fuels and the dependency on, for example, Russia kind of dictators and dictatorships. That is why we are going to need the green transition, tackling these huge environmental crises, and at the same time taking everybody along and making sure that people will get through the transition in a just way. And I still remember that someone used to told me, and this is something that I tend to tell to younger people especially, that if we don't use the power, it will always be someone else using the power on behalf of us. And normally, statistically, if you look at the statistics from national parliaments, even the European Parliament where I work right now, you can see many of the people are more educated, more wealthy, maybe older, and so on. So I think everybody should be encouraged into coming to politics, because everybody is needed. Yeah, it's actually a bit different system in Finland than in some other countries. You can at the same time be a member of parliament and a minister, but most of the time goes to working as a minister. So I actually then, after the governmental period ended and the new legislative started, then I worked a year as a member of parliament. And nowadays I'm working as a member of European Parliament. And I have to say that comparing these three tasks, not to undermine any of them, I still have always had a dream of becoming one day a European parliamentarian. And because I personally think that here, and actually it is our current president of Finland, Alexander Stubb, who has also served as an MEP, he has said that one influential MEP can actually influence more than a minister in one country. Because obviously as a minister, you work at the council on that side and you represent your country. It is a big responsibility and it was an honor to be working there. But at the same time here, as a member of European Parliament, you can at some point, if you become a rapporteur on some specific question, some big legislative file, you can be the one representing 720 MEPs from all over the Europe. And if this becomes legislation, then it applies to all European Union, the 27 member states. And it's really an influential place to be. I always tend to say that it's like a place where you can turn the big boats. And as I mentioned, we have the very big boats to turn right now. The war in Russia's war in Ukraine, here on the European soil, the whole turmoil with US new president and the new administration, and it's I have to say a pretty new approach to the cooperation together with Europe and European Union. And at the same time, as we have these security threats, we also have these huge environmental threats. And when I was working as a minister, I really felt like I could be there to also tackle these big crises. For example, as a Minister of the Environment and Climate Change, I was able to be there and negotiate on the Fit for 55, which is a big European legislative package on how European Union can get rid of emissions and how we can achieve our climate targets. So I've been very happy, and it's been an honor really to be able to serve my country, but now also serve my country here in the European Parliament, and also at the same time represent all of the European people, and not just to stop on the European Union borders. I have to say that European Parliament, Commission, Council, they also have an influence what happens all over the world, because EU can be an influential actor if we want to do so. Yes, I'm very happy that the European Union has finally realized that it's also the European Union level that can be influential on this question. It's not only the member states, because you tend to think that it's only the national states or let's say even municipalities that can solve the problem of homelessness, for example, or the lack of affordable housing, but it is actually also European Union level. And now we have even for the first time a housing commissioner from Denmark, Dan Jørgensen. We have this new special committee on the housing crisis in Europe for 1 year. I'm personally a bit skeptic that we can solve the housing crisis in 1 year, definitely not, but I hope that this will be a good start to make the steps forward. What is the roadmap for European Union to tackle this crisis? Because we actually have many different tools on our hands. For example, I just collected nearly 50 MEPs together, and we wrote together to the European Investment Bank while they are reviewing their housing policies and how the investment bank can influence the building of new, for example, affordable housing. We are working on, for example, to get the new state aid rules or to get the state aid rules reviewed so that they would not hinder if countries, member states want to build more affordable housing, then they should be able to do it. Now the Commission has been a bit vague in this, and that should be changed. There's actually things regarding public procurement that the legislation comes from the European Union level, but it influences a lot all the way to people's everyday lives. So we are actually gathering all these tools that we can do here, and I hope that we can really manage. The committee actually just started its work. The first meeting will only be now in a couple of weeks in March. So I think this is a good start, but we have 1.3 million people sleeping rough all over Europe or European Union. If we talk about a larger Europe, then we have even more people. And this even means 400,000 children living homelessness, and this living in homelessness, and this is a disgrace for European Union. Homelessness is one of the deepest forms of poverty, and it often goes together with many other social problems. So if we can tackle the housing crisis, we can at the same time tackle also many other problems in our societies. Yeah, well, we are not a big nation we are only 5.5 million people. We have roughly 1 million children, and out of those 144,000 are considered to be living in poverty. And that is a very big number. It should not be so in a welfare state like Finland. As I mentioned, we've had the welfare state model for decades. It was a big invention after the world wars, and we were able to put in place social security schemes, all kinds of programs that have been lifting people off from poverty. But unfortunately, you can see directly from the governmental politics that the nowadays sitting government, which is a very right-wing government, first time in a long time, for example, the cuts they've done in the social security have been affecting child poverty and the estimates say that, let's say, over 17,000 new children will end up in poverty. So it's a direct connection, of course, between politics. What you do there can be seen in people's everyday lives. What we have to do even better is, I think, the key cornerstone of reducing poverty is education. And Finland has been quite good on education. Anyhow, we see quite a lot of differences also coming and related to socioeconomic background of the children. And we should be aiming for a system that provides everybody with a similar kind of an opportunity to grow up and live freely and educate themselves throughout the lives. So if we start from early childhood care, let's say actually we need to start even before the child is born. We need to have a good system in place where you can go with professionals that can see what are the situations of the families. Can we already help the family in order to better the life of the whole family in order to bring a good life for this child that will be born. So that kind of a support for the parents, then the whole education system, if you enable the childhood care for all the people, not regarding what your background is, how much money you earn. Everybody should be able to go put their children into early childhood care if they want so. And this is something we still need to be better. Also in the European Union level, we don't have that good numbers yet. And many children would really benefit, especially the ones that are living in poorest families would really benefit for a good kindergarten and childhood care. So, and then if you look that you will have good educational system and you will have good social security networks, that if something happens, there will always be, let's say, like a trampoline that will help people jump up again. And you don't have these kinds of, because sometimes you can even have social security measures that, okay, once you receive, let's say, the last resort social security support, for example, in our country, in Finland, it might mean that it's really hard to get rid of that. If you want to start working, it would be really hard for you to do it once you fall there. So let's not let anybody fall there, and let's make sure that every child has an opportunity not only for the education and proper home and food and the support networks, but also, for example, hobbies. You can't really say or we know that they are so important that on top of the education and what happens during the daytime, there is something, a meaningful place to go and a meaningful place to meet other people, get friends and connections and learn to interact with other people also via hobbies. And that was actually something we also did in the previous government, that we created a scheme where every child would be able to have some kind of a hobby after the school day. So there are many measures you can use, but the biggest what you need is the political will to get rid of homelessness and to get rid of poverty. And those have always been the questions for me in politics that have been driven me.
What's a talent that you wish you had?
Okay, can I explain more than one word?
Yeah, more than one word. Yeah, it's up to you.
Okay. I am a collector of old video games, Nintendos from the 80s and 90s and so on. And I don't really have much time to play, so I'm merely just a collector, but I would love to be a better player.
Yeah, the boys are going to be really happy with this one. Finally, there's a MEP who plays Nintendo games.
Yeah, that's me.
Second question, your favorite person in the European Parliament?
Favorite person, I would have to say it's Ulla, but probably you don't know who is Ulla. She's one of my assistants, and my whole team is such a great, amazing people, they've been working here for a long time, and without them, I wouldn't be able to work so effectively.
A food item that you cannot live without.
These protein, it's kind of a soya protein yogurts or something like that.
What's your favorite TV show or movie?
That's difficult. I don't really have much time to watch TV, but politicians should always have these answers ready, and I never do. Then I always start thinking, what could I say? Okay, I have to say a funny one. If I ever have time to watch Netflix, I will turn on the Love is Blind, which is a funny one.
If you could swap jobs with any politician, who would it be?
I would probably switch or swap the job with Teresa Ribera. She's the executive vice president of the European Commission. She's responsible for the whole Green Deal and the whole socially just Green Deal and transitions. So she has a really interesting job and really important. But I also know her a bit personally, and I know that she will do a great job there right now.
What's a language that you'd want to learn in the future?
Now I'm acting with the 4 languages that I know: Finnish as a mother tongue, Swedish, what we speak as another official language in Finland. And here, obviously, we're talking a lot in English, and then I speak French, but I would love to learn French better, because here, obviously, you can work with that language. But now it's still years ago when I was really learning that language properly.
Who's your favorite fashion icon?
Oh, I don't follow fashion at all. I'm very bad. I actually have even made it a bit of my thing to wear the same clothes quite often, because it can also send a message that females don't have to buy new clothes every day, as we are really like burdened with old clothing around the world, and we are consuming too much. So I'm not going to name any.
I mean, interesting fact, I wouldn't call fashion icon, but my fashion consultant. So she recommended me, because there's a green MP turning up, you wear a green cloth. Yeah, so that's how I'm wearing green t-shirt.
Nice.
Yeah.
Maybe I could then, of course, promoting a Finnish fashion brand, Marimekko is something. If I use something, for example, my bag here, it's Marimekko.
That's it, Maria. That was all from our segment. And thank you so much for, agreeing to be a part of this interview. Love listening to your solutions as well. And wishing you and your team all the very best.
Thank you very much for the interview, and all the best for you too.